I also want to get this letter to...
All right, we'll have much more on the verdict on the Fox 11 10 o'clock news. But before we say goodnight from Studio 11 LA, we're going to bring in attorney RJ Manuelian. He joins us now. Now, what was before the jury was a second-degree possible verdict and manslaughter. Can you tell us the difference between the two, and then why, of course, neither one stuck?
All right. Well, the second-degree murder is a general intent crime, and that requires ill will, hatred, spite, evil intent. The jury obviously found that that wasn't true because there was an issue as to whether or not Trayvon actually instigated or was the aggressor in the case. The manslaughter dealt with culpable negligence, which in California is the equivalent of a reckless charge, whether he was reckless, and the jury obviously found that not to be true as well.
Basically self-defense.
Correct.
All right. What could the prosecutors have done to make this case a better case?
You know, I was always skeptical about having the case filed in the first place. I think there was a political motive in the beginning. I think this was a very, very difficult case for the prosecution. I think they did a good job with what they had, but I don't think they could do anything different, honestly.
So the jury came up with the right verdict, in your view?
I agree, yes.
So what, at this point, what do you suppose will happen with the jury? Do you think they'll come out and talk, and would they want to with such a politically sensitive case?
I think they will eventually. I think we'll hear from them. Typically after a verdict, they don't want to talk. They want to go home. They want to relax. They spent a lot of time. They worked diligently, 16 hours, I believe, total. And I think at some point in time, their information will come to fruition upon interviews and things of that nature. And
we'll find out a little bit more as to why this case never really had a chance.
Right. Exactly.
Okay, then let's talk a little bit about the fact that they deliberated today on a Saturday.
Yes.
And they kept going. They went through lunch, they went through dinner. Is that unusual?
It's not unusual because they're sequestered and they heard all the evidence. And, you know, in my opinion, I think they made up their mind a long time ago. And that's indicative of the fact that they came back in 16 hours. If you take a look at the Casey Anthony murder case, they come back with an acquittal in 10 hours. In OJ, they came back in 4 hours. Typically, quick verdicts are good for the defense. So when they said to the judge today that they needed a little bit more time, to me, that was an indication that they came with a verdict. And I knew it was going to be a not guilty on the second degree as well as in manslaughter, because I just thought that this case was riddled with reasonable doubt.
Okay, we're running out of time, but the fact that the jury was all female, mostly white, do you think that had anything to do with the verdict?
I think, if anything, that was great for the prosecution. You had mothers with children. I thought, if anything, they would compromise on the verdict of manslaughter, and they'd say, we feel bad for Trayvon's family, and come back and vote guilty, but that didn't happen.
RJ Manuelian, thank you very much. We're going to have RJ stick around, and he'll be back with us tonight for the Fox 11 10 o'clock news. We'll have the latest news then. Thank you for joining us.